Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is rejecting from this important area of resistance that we need to pay attention to. And this is happening just after we perfectly hit the exact price target towards the upside that I talked about in my last video, wiping out this area of liquidity, which now means we don't really have a lot of liquidity just above the price, which is a possible warning signal to pay attention to in the immediate short term. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment alongside Ethereum, which is continuing the perfect rejection from this exact resistance, alongside Solana playing out the same, a perfect rejection from this exact resistance in the short term. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have that massive bearish divergence continuing to play out, still active and influencing the price of Bitcoin on the larger time frame. So as I've been saying every day over the last 1 month or so now here on the channel, despite what happens in the short term on the smaller time frames, overall, when we're talking about the next multiple weeks or the next couple of months, that sort of time frame, the slightly mid to longer term, not just the short term, expect a lot of weakness for the price of Bitcoin, lacking bullish momentum. So overall, at best, maybe some choppy sideways price action, but quite possibly a continued correction, a continued pullback in the coming weeks or months here on the larger time frames. Keep that in mind. We're not in the clear yet, despite seeing just a short-term bullish relief, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But right now, here on the daily Bitcoin price chart, obviously, we're still holding above this important area of support here, still sitting in between around 99,000 to 100,000. So continue to expect a lot of support at give or take $100,000 per Bitcoin. And as for resistance, as I've been warning about, expect a lot of resistance at roughly 106 to 107,000, which is pretty much exactly where the price has been struggling at over the last 1 to 2 days. And then if we can break out above that area of resistance, expect to move up towards around 110.5k to 111,000 as the next important level of resistance. But for now, the immediate obstacle, the immediate resistance to pay attention to, once again, is this area in between 106,000 to 107,000, as I've been warning about since before we hit that area, saying that it's extremely likely we're going to see a lot of struggle and a possible rejection from this area on the price chart, which is now starting to play out. And now, technically speaking, as of recording this video, we've not yet confirmed an invalidation to actually invalidate this bullish divergence, which means it's possible this could continue to play out. If we see ideally some sort of little relief quite soon, it's possible we could continue to play this out and maybe see another test of this resistance. But obviously that area of resistance is still there. So even if we see another short-term bullish relief, continue to expect resistance in that area in between 106,000 to 107,000. And so this is why it's important to understand the difference between the different time frames. Obviously, this was just a shorter term bullish relief, as I've been saying the entire time. This is only looking at the shorter term, talking about a period of days, maybe a week, like what we saw last time, but just a shorter term move. Overall, if we're talking about multiple weeks or a month or two, that sort of time frame, still expect a lot of weakness based on the much larger bearish divergence still playing out on the larger time frames. And so we are potentially at risk of soon ending this bullish divergence, especially if we see a little bit further of a pullback here in the RSI. If we start breaking below this line right here in the RSI on the 6-hour Bitcoin price chart, and especially if we start forming a lower low in the RSI, those will be invalidation signals to properly invalidate the bullish divergence, telling us that it is officially over. And so once again, as of recording this video, we've not yet technically confirmed the invalidation of the bullish divergence, but we are at risk of possibly soon invalidating this bullish divergence. So be aware of this. I would not necessarily heavily rely on this bullish divergence any longer. Obviously, I've said over the last few days since back down here, expect a slight bullish relief, but just in the short term, maybe for a few days. Don't rely on this for weeks or months. And of course, another factor that has been helping the price over the last half a week, pushing the price a little bit further towards the upside, or I should say kind of pulling the price towards the upside, was of course the fact that we had a lot of liquidity sitting above the price of Bitcoin, obviously wiping out short positions, causing a small short squeeze in the short term. And so obviously, if you've been watching my last few videos, you would already know about this, but a few days ago, around half a week ago, when the price was at these much lower price levels, I said it's extremely likely we'll head up towards around 104 to 105,000 to wipe out the liquidity sitting roughly around here, which is exactly what we did, as we could see right here. And then just in my last video, I said we have this new area of liquidity and new price target to watch out for just above the price at around 107.2K to 107.4K. I said it's extremely likely that very soon, I said this in my last video, it's extremely likely that very soon we're going to hit around 107.4K to wipe out that liquidity. And that's exactly what we saw. So pretty much the nearest dollar hit exactly 107.4K, wiping out that exact level, hitting the perfect price target here before obviously struggling at this resistance and currently playing out this slight rejection. And so now that all of that has played out, this now means that we don't really have a lot of liquidity above the price of Bitcoin. Obviously, we have a relatively small amount, but nothing really too significant. So it's actually unlikely we'll go towards the upside based on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, because once again, we don't really have a major area of liquidity just above the price, which could possibly help pull the price towards the upside. So we no longer have that bullish factor on the price chart. That's basically gone. It's already been hit. And of course, we have run into major resistance and currently rejecting from that resistance, which means it's possible that if we continue the rejection a little bit further, it could possibly start invalidating the bullish divergence. And in that situation, it is quite possible we could see a little bit more of a continuation of this larger bearish trends that we're currently in here on the daily time frame. For example, technically we are in a bearish trend as we've been in for roughly around a month since near the beginning of October, since all-time highs. We have been trending obviously in the bearish direction on the daily time frame with the occasional shorter term bullish relief, which is exactly what we saw over the last half a week. And so overall, when we're talking about the weekly time frame, nothing's really changed over the last few days. Things are still playing out as I've been saying every day for a month now on the channel. Expect a lot of weakness, lacking bullish momentum, quite possibly a continued pullback. But in the shorter term, things are now changing compared to what I've been saying over the last few days. Obviously, for the last few days since back down here, I've been saying expect a slight bullish relief, but now I'm saying don't necessarily expect that any longer. We've hit resistance, currently rejecting from resistance, no longer have liquidity towards the upside, which means we are at risk. As always, no guarantees, but there is an increased risk right now of a possible continued pullback. And as for potential points of support to watch out for along the way towards the downside, it's possible we could find a small amount of support based on this previous resistance here, flipping into new support, which we're pretty much testing as recording this video right now. And that's sitting at give or take 104,000. But if we continue below 104,000, the next support I'll be watching is at around 101,500, 101.5K. And below that, obviously expect a lot of support in this area in between 99,000 to 100,000. That's really the significant area of support to pay attention to if we do continue a bit more of a rejection here. And as for my trading strategy, of course, over the last few weeks, not just over the last one day, but over the last few weeks, it's not really changed at all. I'm still currently in the futures grid bot trading strategy, which, believe it or not, despite this latest little pullback in the price of Bitcoin, is still sitting in a very slight profit. But just to be transparent with you, I might look to potentially close this trade at roughly break even to possibly enter in at a lower price point. I haven't done that as of recording this video. I'm still in the same trading strategy, but I'm just giving you a heads up in advance that if we continue a bit more weakness here, and especially if we start to get close to invalidating this bullish divergence, seeing a breakdown in the RSI, I may look to basically secure a bit of profit or maybe just close the trade to open from a lower price point in order to basically just get a better entry and secure more profits potentially later on. But that's what I'm just looking at potentially doing based on what the price chart really does here in the shorter term. Overall, once again, I am still currently in the same trading strategy. I've made no new changes over the last one day as of now. And so that's just a quick update on my exact Bitcoin trading strategy right now, and has been the case over the last few weeks or so. And if you want to copy this trading strategy, which for now is still sitting in some slight profits, and in fact, if you copy this trading strategy at the current price, you're actually getting a better entry price from where I entered the trade at around 106,000. You'll be getting a much better entry price right now. As always, not financial advice, no guarantees, but if you want to copy this exact trading strategy, I will leave a link below the video. In fact, the second link below this video will take you to this page right here where you can copy the exact trading strategy. If you want to, you can see very transparently on this page the exact unrealized P&L, the realized grid profits, annualized, and of course exactly how long the trading strategy has been running for, currently roughly 25 days. And so with a single click of a button, you can copy this exact trading strategy if you want to, but because it's set up over on my Pinex account, of course, you will need a Pinex account in order to actually copy this trading strategy strategy if you want to. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Pinex below the video. In fact, the first link below this video will take you to this Pinex page, where you can also take advantage of a bunch of other bonuses just by simply making an account using the link, completing KYC. You get a 50 USDT bonus on your account, or if you complete deposits, for example, if you deposit just $100, you get a $100 deposit bonus. If you deposit $10,000, you get a $1,000 bonus onto your Pinex account. So basically a bunch of free money from the exchange just by simply depositing or completing KYC using the link below the video to Pinex. But once again, if you don't use that link, you can't claim any of these bonuses here. So you might as well use that link to take advantage of these bonuses from the exchange. And also, unfortunately, if you don't use the link below the video, you can't actually copy this trading strategy. The copy button simply will not work if you're not using the link below the video to actually make your Pinex account. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the daily time frame, and right now the Bitcoin dominance is continuing to play out very neutral price action in the immediate short term, which is ultimately what I expect just in the short term for the Bitcoin dominance. And so obviously that's exactly what I said in my last video. Expect pretty much flat price action for the Bitcoin dominance just in the short term for the next few days. And that's what I'm saying right now. Again, expect very neutral price action in the immediate short term for the Bitcoin dominance, which basically means a lot of the major altcoins on average will likely perform very similar price action, not much better, but not much worse, very similar price action to whatever Bitcoin is doing. So if Bitcoin is playing out a slight little pullback as it is doing as of recording this video, expect something very similar to this for a lot of the major altcoins. And right now we are indeed seeing that for Ethereum. Taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, we're perfectly rejecting from my exact level of resistance here, which is sitting at around 3660. So really in between 3650 to 3660 is the area that I've been warning about here on the channel over the last few days since before we even hit that area. And right now we're perfectly rejecting from that area. So obviously continue to expect a lot of resistance at that area right there on the price chart. And as for support, it's possible we could find a decent amount of support based on these daily candle closes at this low at just underneath around 3.3k, very close to 3.3k as a major level of support. And below that, expect a lot of support at around 3050 based on this Fibonacci level of support. And if we're taking a look at this daily Ethereum price chart, right now the price of ETH is looking extremely likely that it's about to retest this area on the price chart, which in the immediate short term, close to a week ago, around half a week ago, was acting as short-term resistance in between around 3350 to 3450, and previously around early to mid-October, and also all the way back up here around early August, this was acting as major support. So this will likely act as an area of support to watch out for in between around 3350 to 3450. And so overall, honestly, just expect very similar price action as to what I said for my Bitcoin analysis, which is a potential risk of a further short-term pullback. And overall, of course, watch out for support and resistance on these Ethereum price charts. Obviously, watch out for this support, which we're likely about to retest very, very soon. And if we see another bounce, of course, watch out for this exact resistance right here. And if you want to trade these moves in the price of Ethereum or any other crypto on a no KYC exchange, personally for that, I like to use 2bit. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below the video. In fact, the third link below the video will take you to this page right here, where you can also take advantage of a bunch of other bonuses. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out. Once again, third link below the video. If you simply use that link to make your account, complete deposits, complete some trades, you can get up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 USDT in withdrawable stablecoins. And on top of that, without making any deposits or any trades, just by making an account, takes 30 seconds to do this using the link below the video, you can get a free $30 sign up bonus and 1 month free VIP 3 upgrade. So basically very cheap trading fees over on 2bit and essentially free money from the exchange just by simply making an account using that third link below the video to 2bit. And once again, 2bit is indeed a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, and right now the overall price structure or trends that we're currently in for Solana is technically still bearish, as it has been for quite some time. Of course, we can see the occasional short-term bullish relief, but still within the larger bearish price structure here on the 2-day time frame. And as for support and resistance resistance to watch out for. Obviously, we've continued to play out that perfect bounce from this area of support in between around 143 to 147. So continue to expect a lot of support in that area. And as for resistance, expect a lot of resistance at give or take 170, which is pretty much exactly where the price just rejected from here in the immediate short term. And so this is why it's so important to watch out for these support and resistance levels where the price would likely bounce from or reject from, or at the very least struggle at in the short term. And if the price were to actually confirm a breakout above 170 and actually hold above that level with candle closes above that level, in that situation, we could likely see a move up towards 190 to 200. But once again, as I've been saying throughout the video and many videos here on the channel, basically pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing to figure out what is likely going to happen for a lot of altcoins, which means if Bitcoin is playing out a bit of weakness in the shorter term, it's unlikely Solana will play out a major bullish move towards the next resistance if Bitcoin is still looking like this. So once again, ideally, we need to see a breakout for Bitcoin in order to expect a further breakout for Solana and a lot of altcoins. And so that is still the current situation in the immediate short term, still struggling at this resistance. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, we're still playing out the much larger bearish divergence on these much larger time frames here, which has been playing out over multiple months. So not much has changed over the last one day on this chart. And if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart, technically speaking, this bullish divergence on the daily time frame is still currently active. We've not confirmed any invalidation signal to invalidate the bullish divergence, and we're not actually that close to confirming an invalidation signal. So it's possible this could continue to play out a little longer. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, obviously, as I've been saying here on the channel, expect a lot of resistance in between around $2.60 to $2.70. And over the last 1 to 2 days, the price got very close to $2.60. We got up towards around $2.59 approximately on this chart right here. So within about 1 cent of hitting this exact resistance before we started to obviously struggle very close to that area of resistance, close to $2.60. And as for support, if we continue a little bit more of a short-term rejection here or a slight little pullback following Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., in that situation, expect a lot of support in this area based on this previous resistance and also previous support now acting as support in between $2.30 to $2.40 as an important area of support. But for now, it is quite likely that in the coming days, we could remain in this sideways price range in between roughly $2.30 to $2.70, kind of bouncing around between this support and this resistance, potentially just for the next few days or so. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's a kind of similar situation for Chainlink. Technically, the larger structure or the larger trend at play on the daily Chainlink price chart is still clearly bearish. We're still technically forming lower highs and lower lows as we have been doing for months now, since basically around late August onwards, we have been in a bearish trend with the occasional short-term bullish relief. So currently that is playing out and technically still currently playing out. Despite this slight little pullback in the immediate short term, we still have this active bullish divergence on the daily Chainlink price chart, not confirmed any invalidation signal, which means overall expect either a slight bullish relief or maybe just a bit of choppy sideways price action in the shorter term for the next few days or so. And as for support and resistance to watch out for, expect a lot of support in this area in between $15.20 to $15.70. And if we were to break below that area, expect a lot of support at roughly around $14.60 to $14.70. But the main area of support immediately is once again $15.20 to $15.70. And as for resistance to watch out for, start to expect a decent amount of resistance at around $16.60. More resistance at around $17.50 and major resistance in between $19 to $20. But once again, if you want to trade these moves in the price of any crypto, you might as well check out the links below the video to those exchanges if you want to claim the massive bonuses that are only available using those links. So you might as well take advantage of that, especially if you're going to be trading crypto anyway. And if you want to actually know how you can take these sort of trades to profit in the market, no matter what the price is doing, as I'm doing right now, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or shorts positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.